Hey, what's up guys, it's Renaldo here. So this video is going to focus on blatant discrimination in this country in 2026. Whenever people come out and say, hey, there's 144 race-based laws that discriminate against people based on the color of their skin, that you get people that say, oh, you like making this up. You are completely delusional, even though the legislation is there for everybody to see. And most mainstream media outlets just like actually condemn people for stating these facts, and they usually call them Afri-MAGA, or they call them right-wingers, or they try and take away from the evidence that's actually there. And another clear example of that is the new draft regulation that has come out by the government that clearly demonstrates once again that they focus on discrimination based on race. Now, before I show this to you, please be sure to subscribe to this channel. It's absolutely free. It won't cost you anything, as well as smashing the like button and sharing this video. All right, let's have a look. Once again, thanks to Newsday for the brilliant article. It's appreciated. It says, no white businesses welcome for state contracts below 20 million rand. And it's just, once you read it, you'll find out how absurd it is. The National Treasury's draft public procurement regulations required businesses which get contracts below 20 million to be 100% black owned. This is the warning from Gerrit Papenfuss, the Chief Executive of the National Employers Association of South Africa. The National Treasury published the draft General Public Procurement Regulations 2026 on the 16th of April 2026. On the same day, it published the draft Public Procurement Tribunal Regulations 2026 for public comment. These regulations are necessary to bring into effect the Public Procurement Act 2024, which was assented to by the President on the 18th of July 2024, the National Treasury said. They outline mechanisms, financial thresholds, and conditions for preferential procurement for government contracts. The draft regulations also include set-asides, pre-qualification requirements, and mandatory subcontracting, particularly targeting SMMEs. Papenfuss said that the regulations set aside state contracts below 20 million rand for companies that are 100% owned by previously disadvantaged persons. White male-owned businesses, even partially white male-owned businesses, are completely excluded, said Papenfuss. A company that is 90% black-owned does not qualify. A firm that has followed every BEE code for 2 decades does not qualify. Papenfuss argued that this was not to redress. Instead, he described it as the economic exclusion of businesses with white males as owners. He said these proposed regulations will harm all sectors of South African society and drive up prices. It shrinks the supplier base, drives up prices, and hollows out service delivery. The taxpayers pays for all of it, he said. Our courts have already ruled that the government cannot disqualify a tender purely on race. These regulations do exactly that. And just to illustrate this point, if you look at ownership and eligibility requirements for set-asides, and this is, as you can see, the Public Procurement Regulations 25, but it is the draft regulations that they are publishing here. It speaks under different various sections, but then when you get to 3B, it says persons in subsection 3K, L or M of that section must be 100% owned by citizens of the Republic. It also goes on to say here, persons in subsection 3K of that section must be 100% owned by black people. Now, the subsection is this. It talks about all of the information here, and it says, persons referred to in subsection black people, black women, black people with disabilities, military veterans, persons referred to any of the paragraphs within a geographical area, small enterprises owned by black people, black women, black, and it goes on and on and on. Now, can somebody please explain to me how that is not racism? How is that not discrimination? You are excluding somebody because of the color of their skin. Please, to the media out there, explain it to me like I'm an idiot. How is these type of policies any different to the race-based policies during apartheid? And why did you condemn the race-based policies during apartheid, but you aren't saying anything about these policies? Now, you could be a young business owner, you could be an old business owner. You are being punished because of the fact that you want to do business with the government and you've got what they need and you can probably provide it cheaper than somebody else, but you are excluded purely because of your race, something that you had absolutely no control over. And the government refuses to do business with you because you don't want to not even give a part of your business away, because it's not even the case anymore. You have to be 100% black owned. So if you're a white person, like, it doesn't matter if you've got black partners, or if you even want to uplift your fellow community members that might be black or colored, that doesn't even help anymore. So if you are an entrepreneur and you were born into a white skin, bad luck, especially when it comes to these contracts that's below 20 million rand. Now, there are some people that's going to argue, well, most of the contracts are over 20 million rand. How does it change anything? How does it change the fact that for small business owners that might want to enter this market, they can't compete because of the color of their skin? How is this fair? How is this not racism? This is what I would like mainstream media like Adrian Basson and Pieter de Tooy and all these woke leftists, I would love for them to answer me. How is this not racist? How is this not discrimination? Especially if you consider, let's say, a 25-year-old that was born in 2001 or in 2000, started a business, and it's like long after apartheid ended, and they would love to do business with the government, but they can't because they are white. How is that not racist? How is that not discrimination? And yet, we are told every day that we are imagining the racism in this country. And if we talk about it, then we are considered right-wingers. We are considered Afri-MAGA by the likes of the DA and mainstream media, because we are saying, why are we allowing discrimination and racism in 2026? But, everybody wants to point at apartheid and tell us how atrocious that system was. How does it make sense? How can the media allow it? How can political parties allow this? Why aren't they fighting against this? I thought discrimination is discrimination. We can't hide behind the previously disadvantaged or broad-based black economic empowerment. We can't hide behind it, because if you discriminate against somebody because of the color of their skin, that is discrimination. That is racism. It feels like we are back in grade 1, where we have to literally explain the meaning of words. And yet the government, which includes the DA, is allowing this draft regulation to be passed because, hey, what is a little bit of discrimination and racism against white people? Once again, it's the double standards of racism in this country. We can all look at apartheid and say it was an atrocious system because it had race-based laws, and we must all condemn it. But in 2026, we must just turn a blind eye to blatant racism, especially to the younger people that had no hand in apartheid and also, couldn't help being born into the skin that they were born into. It's the stereotypical behavior that every single white person was born with land, with a scholarship, and with money in the bank. That is the most atrocious generalization ever, but yet this is how the government treats white people in this country. And ultimately, it boils down to the fact that how can we accept this? Especially people that want to condemn apartheid. How can you accept blatant discrimination and racism like this, but then condemn apartheid? And just to illustrate what News 24 would rather focus on, because they haven't covered this story. This story is massive because it's blatant discrimination. You know what News 24 would rather focus on? They would rather focus on AfriForum and March and March having a meeting and then framing it as it's going back to the 90s. Kali as Viljoen and Jacinta as Buthelezi, and how they talk about nationalism and all these terrible atrocities. Two organizations that are literally meeting, black and a white organization taking hands. Not even, you can't even frame AfriForum as a whites only organization because there's so many colored and black members, and the same with March and March. But you've got your editor-in-chief of News 24, Adrian Basson, that is framing this as if it's these people wanting to bring apartheid back. And this is why Media 24 is losing 850,000 Rand a day. Because instead of talking about injustices in this country, like white people that own businesses not being allowed to even tender for contracts below 20 million Rand, instead of talking about that and how that is unjust and wrong, they would rather create this fictitious apartheid longing and apartheid wanting organizations, which is just absolute bullshit. And this is the problem in this country, is that nobody actually wants to talk about the blatant discrimination, hatred, and racism in 2026. They constantly want to talk about how things were so terrible during the apartheid years, but nobody wants to talk about what is happening right now. And that is why mainstream media is completely losing money hand over fist. And that is why this country is in the state it's in, is because you've got people that are willing to defend discrimination and racism, but in the same breath talk about how evil apartheid was. And that's pretty much all I got to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. Smash that like button, share this video far and wide. Don't forget to subscribe. It's absolutely free. However, if you'd like to contribute to this channel financially, you can do so by clicking on the $ below and choosing an amount, or you can become a member of this channel by clicking the join button below. And that's all I got to say. Till later, cheers and peace out.
You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say I wear my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say I wear my massacre. I wear my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say I wear my massacre. I wear my massacre.